All right, so David J,
Hey man,
how you
thanks for
doing?
having me.
Of course, dude.
This
You
is
look at I
amazing.
was yeah, that didn't really freeze as well as we wanted to. But hey, I
It's this is a 2021 ice cube. It's like it's perfectly formed for this year.
mine's half done.
Yours is half done. That's
Mine's still cooking. So I didn't have any whiskey, and today's been kind of crazy. So I text you, and I was like, hey, you want me to pick up some, or you have some whiskey to bring by? And he's like, oh, I have some, and then you came with all of this. So we
we
need an
have the
explanation of
lineup.
all these beautiful boxes and whiskey. So what do we
Yes.
got here?
So this first one, well, this is a tequila that a buddy of mine introduced me to,
Mm-hmm.
but it's barreled, so
Is someone famous on that? Avion?
it might, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. To be honest, there's so much. I mean, from wine to whiskey to whatever. Like there's just too much to really learn it all. So
Mhm.
I like the variety. So whenever I go in, I just ask the people at the store, like, "Hey, what's something good and different?" And
Mhm.
they hand me bottles, and
There you go.
that's what we have. But this one's a lot peatier. So this is gonna be, you know,
Yeah,
some
that's
smoky
your
stuff.
scotch. Yeah.
And then this is also Scotch, but it's sweet. It almost edges on the bourbon taste.
Really? A
Yeah.
scotch that isn't peaty?
Yeah.
Well, I want to go for that.
So, all right.
Yeah.
Let's start us off there.
Yeah. Glendronach, if I'm doing that right.
Yeah,
So,
I wouldn't know.
um, we're living in some crazy times, my friend, and we're probably gonna end up drinking a few of these, which is all right. So right now, let's see. We're in
Cheers.
January 14th, 2020.
2020 is right.
No, we're in 2021. Right.
Well, I
So
think
2020 already happened.
it's carrying over.
Might be getting worse. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right, so you're an entrepreneur in Bend, and you have a host of different businesses. You want to, we can talk about, well, I'd like to talk about all of them and how you built them up, because you're definitely a successful entrepreneur. And so, yeah, I mean, do you want to start with Warm Welcome, or
Sure.
just go through the gamut?
Yeah. So that's the new one, fun
Mhm.
one that it's costing a lot, but making nothing at the moment, or very little.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that one started as kind of a pet project, and we were just building it on the side.
Yeah.
And did it for a year, all around video. And at the time, it was video emails. And then we said, well, you know what? People are really desiring to be together, but they can't. So
Mhm.
let's try and take video and personalize every part of a business, from a video business card, a video page or a video bubble on your website,
Mm-hmm.
to video email, to video signatures, email signatures, stuff like that.
Yeah, and so you're making that connection happen, and we're looking to test with somebody. Could you put warmwelcome.com on the cast? Thanks, Jacob. And so we're getting excited to utilize it in ways of just like personalizing how we reach out to potential clients and current clients. So we've already come up with some ideas on how we're looking to utilize it with our account managers, because we have a typical, which is outside the realm of what you and I were talking about when we were talking about utilizing it for outbound sales, but is inbound retention by sending over. We were thinking of even having a report sort of a video where like it's like, hey, here's your report, click below,
Nice.
and I hope
Yeah.
you like it, something like that, and personalized video just for them to see. And it would bring a really good, I only see retention going up with a tool like that being utilized, and excitement going up. It's like, wow, this vendor really cares about me. They took the time to make
Yeah.
this video, when really, I mean, we're still taking the time, but you're able to automate it,
Mhm.
is what Warm Welcome is doing. So I find that neat. So what's the other businesses you have going too?
So there's Warm Welcome, and then Agree.com,
Mhm.
Pass Gallery, which is kind of photo galleries for photographers. That's the longest standing one, the biggest one. Site Cards, Site Viewer, Shoot and Share.
How do you manage all these?
I don't manage them. I hate managing anything. I look around here and I see all the people and everything you have going on. And I'm like, I need another drink.
Yeah.
It's intense.
Yeah. So you got all this stuff going on with like what, no employees, or like, I know you have like, it's kind of remote ones. I mean, explain, because you definitely have a lot of things going, but where's the labor coming from?
Right. Technically one employee. We've been trying to get him moved into a contractor role for a couple of years, but he likes being an employee. And
Okay.
he moved from Bend to Idaho a couple of years ago.
Good for him. He's
Yeah.
in the right place right now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Lots more people moving in that direction.
Yeah.
Couple more of these we'll get into.
Yeah, we will. That's definitely going to happen. Anyway, so you named like at least 7 businesses.
Mm-hmm.
So how there's so many people that watch it are just like, I want to be an entrepreneur, but I don't know how to start. And yet here you are managing 7. I have an incredibly difficult time with 2. So I'm more than intrigued on what your tactic is on not going down rabbit holes on one and keeping your pulse on all these.
Sure. So I started out running them, and I'd start a company and I'd run it, and essentially in that moment, you're the CEO, you're casting a vision for it, you're coming up with the ideas, but then you're oftentimes like heading up sales, heading up marketing. Those are often driven in, from the same person. And over time, as a couple of them got bigger, I realized that I was actually like hindering the business, and I needed somebody who could operate it better than me, manage it better than me, and grow it through this next kind of life cycle. Because all my ideas and even the original vision, which had now changed, it wasn't going to be helpful for me to continue to bring that. And so I hired somebody much more financially minded, ops minded, and he stepped into that management role and started to clean up a lot of the mess that startup guys create. And it was really helpful for me because I realized where my sweet spot was. And I was then okay kind of handing over the reins and saying, hey, I need someone to manage this. I need someone to run it and operate the business, which I hated doing anyway. It was draining me. And so then that let me step into startup role again.
Yeah, because I think like me, have more of a towards businesses a liberal mindset, and I don't mean liberal as a political mindset by any means, because I know that's not how your most entrepreneurs' minds don't end up going. But liberal versus conservative in a business concept is like liberal being the free thinker. They're going and getting stuff done with a new idea, going outside the realms of what has been done within the economy, the community, and finding something and just kind of getting stuff done. And then whatever happens behind, we're a conservative that can then come in and basically fix up everything. And I think a good business can end up needing both. I'm a liberal type of thinker when it comes to business, of just getting stuff done. And then Sarah, my other half, if it wasn't for her, the company wouldn't still be around.
Nice.
There'd be no way. So, because she is able to put it all together and make the numbers make sense and everything of that nature. So having those two is really a big key. But I think what also is huge is your acknowledgement that you need to let somebody else come in and take the football from you on your baby. And that's something that's really hard for entrepreneurs, more like merchants. I think like people who get into business and they don't get outside of like just themselves, is a merchant mindset, so to speak, is that they need to do everything. And we're not made to be able to be like both a liberal and conservative thinker at the same time.
Right.
So kudos to you. I remember, because we were in the same business group, Opportunity Knocks, for about a year and a half or 2 or something like that. Yeah. And I remember when you were going through the whole, like, what do I do? It was with Agree, I believe. And you were debating on whether or not to hand it off. And we're like, oh, maybe you should, maybe you shouldn't. And you decided to do it. And it seemed to have been the right move.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I was going to hand it off to the team that was running it at the time. And I ended up not doing that, and brought in this advisor of mine to run it, and we parted ways with the entire team. And over the next 18 months, it continued to grow at the same pace that it was growing with the entire team on it. So we were burning money. At the time it was bringing in, 8 or 10 grand a month, and we were burning 40 to 50 on the salaries. So got rid of the team. Now it's bringing in 8 to 10 grand a month, but there's no overhead. There's no overhead on it, and continue to grow. And now it's 35 grand a month with no employees on it. So it's one of those weird things with a business that, like a jet, right? It's like takes so much energy to get it moving, get it off the ground. And the people that are part of that process, like, are bloodied and, they have to battle through it. But there is a point where these businesses can become their own sales and marketing vehicles. The customers can go and do that. And you can set it up in a way where you don't have to continue to invest. And the business can keep growing, and you can sell it, or you can just cash it out over time.
You turn it into a lifestyle business.
Right.
Yeah. So it's just it's not something normally seen for when you made that decision to do it, and it's obviously seemed to pay off, and now you're on to other ideas while that one is still paying you. So before we started recording, you're saying that you're gonna be in Florida for 6 months.
Yeah.
Now, David, why in the world would you be going from Oregon to Florida? Why would you? I mean, the great open free state of Oregon to Florida.
Yeah, it used to be.
Yeah.
No, I do love it here. I mean, there's so many good things.
Then why are you leaving?
About well, there are some key drivers to it. One is we're going through the process of selling a company, and you've got a 10% income tax here and a 0% income tax in Florida.
Interesting.
So that makes it a pretty easy decision.
Yeah.
But then you go down the list and you say, okay, kind of from my family side and my kids.
Have your kids go to school.
Yeah.
Go to a restaurant where you can eat inside.
Exactly.
I don't know, go to a bar.
Yeah.
Got our own bar. Yeah, we have our own bar. Well, this is becoming a problem in our state.
Definitely.
Of people drinking, and then the suicide rate, how it doubled in 2020, more than doubled.
Crazy.
That's the thing that the media doesn't pick up. We're doing this whole for the greater good and shut down all the businesses so that we can save grandma. But we've had 17 COVID deaths in 2020 in Deschutes County, and 11 of them were in hospice, and 6 of them were over the age of 70. The other 6.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, we have 45 or 43 suicides in 2020. In Deschutes County, where in 2019 it was 21. So
yeah, we've already eclipsed.
Yeah. Are we saving lives?
No
Not
way.
according to those stats.
Yeah.
And hey, look, remember those 11 people, hospice.
Mm-hmm.
So I get. I mean, so you're going to Florida for liberty, it seems like.
Yep. Yeah, on every level, right?
Taxation. I mean, income tax was not a thing in our country until 1913. A lot of people don't know that, but it's unconstitutional.
Yeah, we tried to escape it when we built the country, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's what the revolution was about. No taxation without representation. That is 1776. But when you're on the woke coast of Oregon, California, and Washington, then they seem to forget that for the greater good.
Yeah.
But that makes things hard. You're very vocal about what you think is going on in our community and in our state as being wrong. I definitely am as well. Mm-hmm. So I'm sure this podcast is going to piss off people, and a lot of people agree with it. But what have been some ways that you've been able to? Have you been able to turn anybody's opinion, you think, from keeping the businesses shut down to opening back up through any of your discourse on Facebook or any of the social media platforms?
I don't know if anyone's really changing their mind. I think what's been really great about the last year is that you've had people really stand up for their conservative values, right? And say, hey, these values are really important to me. Mm-hmm. 10 years ago, I would have said the Conservative Party dead.
Yeah.
I mean, we had no energy. It was a bunch of old white guys. Like, it was pathetically dead.
Mm-hmm.
And, Trump came in, disrupted everything in politics. But he really, I think, revived the idea that these values actually create a better life when you live by them. And that's something that I think just hadn't had any real voice behind it for so long.
The values you speak of are that of white nationalism.
Yeah, well, that's what the left would say. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I know, but that's the big problem, right? It's like to say you have conservative values is to basically a lot of people that watch it's now Fox News as well, but any of the mainstream media is that like, oh, you're conservative, oh, you voted for Trump, that must mean that you're a sexist, racist white nationalist.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, the amount of times I've been called a racist. I mean, our customer service teams, get emails every day like, I hate your company, your founders are racist. And it's like, that I know of, never done anything racist in my life.
No.
But, I fit every box, right?
You're one of the kindest, most happy. I have never heard anything remotely racist come out of your mouth. Yeah. It's just this black and white. If you voted for Trump, you're racist.
Yeah.
I was like, then does that mean if you voted for Biden, you're a pedophile?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
because
we've gone
that
so
man
extreme.
likes to smell little girls and grab them over and over again, and all that stuff kind of got scraped. That used to be all over the internet, and then once it became that he was the secured nominee, I would show friends like, I was like, check this out, just him just smelling little girls,
weird
in photo shoots,
just weird, dude.
Really weird, over and over and over again, and it was so easy to find. And then once he became the presidential frontrunner.
Yeah.
I mean, I was able to find them, but it wasn't as easy as Biden smelling girls and up it popped.
Right.
Like it was buried.
Yeah. Which is a bigger problem. I think the fact that so much of our, it used to be news and then there was social media, right? So it was media and then social media, but it's like the information that we're getting, we have no idea if this is real information or not anymore.
Yeah. It's a huge problem.
That's gnarly.
But you know what I was thinking about that? When did we know?
Yeah, it's a good point. I think we at least thought we knew.
Yeah.
Or we at least thought
Walter
it was
Cronkite
fair.
was taking us in the right direction.
Yeah.
Tom Brokaw wasn't lying to us.
Yeah, we're all trying to digest it and understand and get to the truth. And that's where I think right now we're in a real problem because people are trying to talk about stuff. They're literally trying to find the truth. And then things are getting shut down and people are getting silenced and things are getting censored. And it's like, where can you have an open conversation, right? Like we can do it right here. Right?
Trying to.
But as soon as this goes out on the web, we're going to get censored. We're going to get governed. We're going to,
yeah.
And that's what I think is really risky in the long term is when, especially tech. But I don't think government, I don't think tech, I don't think anyone should really have that much power to control or censor what people are saying.
Well,
right?
The First Amendment is freedom of speech.
Yeah, but we're seeing that's now not getting upheld. And it's not, across the world, it has gotten shut down, a long time ago. But now to see it happening in America where, you can't even start a platform like Parler. And
the president has been booted off of everything.
Right. And not just him, but tons of people. I mean,
70,000 people. Yeah. On Twitter in one night.
Yeah. After a year of the left inciting violence directly, like you look, if you're saying that what President Trump said incited violence, like, yeah, I could tell somebody, hey, what do you think about, Liverpool football? And they could go batshit crazy and go start a riot. Did I incite the riot?
Obviously you did.
Yeah. But when you look at what happened for a year with the amount of violence and rioting Okay, you want to protest? That's fine. Protest, no problem. You want to go and try and burn down a bunch of, police precincts with police officers inside?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's what happened in Portland,
Yeah.
and was endorsed by, the governor there, or the mayor and our governor. And so we had the left inciting violence for a year.
Mm-hmm.
And then it gets flipped on this one little event that is like, oh, okay, now
it's a problem.
It's a problem,
Yeah.
and it's all these guys' problem, and that's where I think we're going beyond conversation.
Which it is a problem, right? Like, we shouldn't be ransacking a Capitol, but why were we? Because so there was 6 people who died at that event, but during all the BLM protests, right? I think the number
a lot more than that.
A lot more. I'm trying not to. It's a lot more. I'm not going to put out a number because I don't have it memorized, but significantly more for the people who died during the Capitol siege, whatever you want to call what happened. There's so much footage of like cops just letting people in. It's really bizarre.
It's weird,
yeah, the truth I think is yet to come. I think we might have a wild next 7 days until Inauguration Day on what went down. I don't know. But 4 of them were like, one guy died. He was holding a KFC bucket and he had a heart attack on the stairs. So that was one of them. He didn't get hit by a mace or anything. He just had a heart attack while holding a KFC bucket. Another one died scaling the wall, the Capitol. He slipped and fell.
Play stupid games, win stupid prizes.
Right? Yep. But then you have the and then one cop was killed, which was awful. On the side of like the people who were really pushing in there, and then that young girl got shot in the neck and died graphically for everyone to see. Anyway, I think that's awful. But if we're going to censor the right for inciting that, then you would be a hypocrite to say, let's not censor the left as well.
100%, yeah.
For all the people that have died.
Yeah. Not to censor, try to impeach, right? They're trying to impeach the president based on that.
They did.
Or, yeah.
It's the second time, though. It doesn't mean anything. So.
Yeah. But you're right. I mean, the hypocrisy is absurd. And I'm sure it's on both sides. But it feels like because it's so rampant on both sides that it's like conversations are ending. Politics are ending. The law that we have lived by to try and create like a society where everybody can just go through their life and do what they want to do doesn't seem to matter anymore. And that's scary because that's like, what do we rely on? What can we have as like a baseline standard to build off of when
it's supposed to be the Constitution?
But if that's
supposed to be the type of moral code, right? Like, and that's the thing about the Constitution is it is a code. It's a written code, and it's something that can be altered, but it takes almost an act of God to do so. With I believe it's 3/5 of the states to ratify and everything like that. And it's quite the procedure. And so that written code keeps us with having a good moral compass and keeps us away from moral relativism. And the scary thing is moral relativism is just whatever feels right now. And what feels right now is not upholding the Constitution and getting rid of freedom of speech, because I'm pretty shocked by the amount of people on the left that are just rooting on the complete, not only censorship, it's censorship, but just shutting down of the President of the United States ways to communicate with the people. And then all the other accounts, and then the bank accounts, and everything like that, and they're saying yeah, and then they're lighting posters that say free speech on fire.
Wow,
like, this is freaking gnarly. And it's just, but here's the thing: you don't realize that this is just, it's going to come for you. Like, all it takes, like, you set the precedent of you set the precedent of censorship right now, and it's favoring you now because you're not the one to be censored until a new regime comes in, a new administration. Yeah. Now all of a sudden what you're saying is, and now you're all blocked off and you're chopped down by the knees. And people sometimes they have a hard time. They have the hard time foresighting that, like, well, this benefits me right now. Like, well, you're laying down the framework for your own demise.
Yeah, and it doesn't seem to benefit them. Like, it's, you know, we hear these politicians say this stuff, right? And it's like, oh, this is going to benefit you. If it benefited you, let's look at these democratically run states, right? Mm-hmm. Where they have super high taxes, like California.
Super high deficits.
And who's super high deficits. Mm-hmm. And I was in LA just last year getting, I don't know, it was a birth certificate or something for my son, because my second son had to be born in LA.
You want some tequila?
Yeah. All right. Like that ice out of there.
Did you see who ended up owning this? Is it?
It's not anybody special.
It's not?
No. I think you're thinking like Ryan Reynolds or something.
I was thinking that, or I was thinking that this was on Entourage. It was like, remember in Entourage when they start the tequila company? You know what I'm talking about?
I think so.
Yeah, was it Avion? No.
I don't know.
All right.
Yeah. Anyway, LA, every overpass that we went under as we're driving was a homeless
full
camp.
Bumps.
Was a homeless camp above it.
Oh yeah.
And then
when was this?
A year ago.
A year ago.
Yeah.
Oh, imagine what it's
probably
like now.
Worse now. Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah. Yes.
Probably.
Yeah.
Dude, have you seen some of the pictures coming out of LA? It's straight up District 9 in that bitch, man. It is bad.
San Fran's turning into that.
San Fran has had it legal to shit on the streets for the past 6 years. And then Portland thought that was woke as hell, and so they did it too. Let's just think about that really quick. As a society, and if people in the city council of Bend are listening to this, please do not pass a woke-ass law to make it legal to shit on Wall Street in Bend. Yeah. As nice as you think that is, think of what would happen if somebody shit on the street in ancient Rome, or what would happen to that person? Somebody's just like, I'm just going to take a dump. Right? They would kill him.
Yeah.
Okay, so now let's just think about going to Portland. And this is what you could do. You could literally walk up to the Nordstrom and right in front of that automatic door, take a big old dump. And if your dog does it, then that's a $300 fine. But if you do it, so if I brought my dog to Portland, if he took a dump and if a cop caught me, then I would be like, all right, well, I'm going to get the most out of this and take a dump too and not get an extra fine out of it. But that's literally the world. That's literally the world we're living in. Like, imagine if okay, so you're just like, yeah, well, Rome was like, everybody, Native Americans, like, the left environmentalists, they want us to be like that, right? Like no energy, live like the Indians, blah, 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 blah. Okay, cool. What would happen if a Native American took a big shit next to a teepee, just like, or in it?
Yeah.
They would fucking kill him too.
Some arrows flying.
Yeah. Like, come. So where did our comment? So what did San Francisco do to, like, God, this human shit? Because San Francisco used to be this darling city that I really used. I don't really like cities, but when I went to visit San Francisco, I was like, this is gonna be fun, and it was. And then the human feces thing started, and it's gross. It is beyond gross.
Yeah.
Is the charm, the full houseness is gone.
Full house.
The full houseness is gone. Actually, in front of the full house, they clean that. So they have like a constant like shit supervisor on that block. They do. I swear to God, I walked by it. It was crazy. Like there was urine and feces, and then full house, like, nope. And then continued to like watch where you step because it's human shit. So they developed an app.
Wow.
In San Francisco to pick up poop. So if you see poop, you point on the app and then somebody comes and they get it. Wow. So anyway,
some government worker comes, right? The taxes are paying for it.
I don't know if it's I mean, it's got to be subsidized by the government because who's going to pay for that, right?
It's like Uber for shit. It's like you just order the
Uber shit.
The bomb squad.
Take an Uber shit. Yeah.
By the way, I'll plug these people.
Bomb squad's great.
Dude.
I don't think they would want. I mean, I guess they would take the business, but Sally, listen, we do not need the bomb squad for downtown Bend.
No,
don't do that.
Yeah, no,
please. Anyway, bomb squad, for those that don't know, they'll pick up your dog shit.
Best thing ever. Best thing ever.
You're right about Entourage.
All right. Was it the
Yeah.
actual? Is it the same company?
Yep.
All right, dope. See, I knew something famous was going on with it.
That's amazing. Oh,
Sorry,
there's
I went
some
down the
si-
shit rabbit hole. So we're talking about what were we talking about? The bums in LA.
yes.
Yeah, how you're seeing that like just growing like everywhere.
Well, yeah, and so it's like, okay, if these policies work, if the way that Democrats want to run this country worked, we
Mhm.
would see their cities being better, right? We see it failing like over and over and over again. Doesn't mean it's all bad. I think there's some bad stuff on the right. There's some bad stuff on the left. There's some good stuff on the right, good stuff on the left.
Yeah.
We can all agree to that.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I think universal healthcare would be dope.
Maybe we don't,
I think it would.
Yeah.
I mean, I just think it's kind of screwed up how people have to like decide whether or not they need to like super glue their hand together or if they need to get stitches in their hand because they can't afford it. I'm like, oh man, you should just be able to. That should just be a no-brainer.
It should be more simple and more clear, So it's like whether the government complicates those things and the private sector simplifies them is like, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. All I know is that I think that might be like when you're saying good on the left, going around. It's like, I think that might be a good thing on the left. Yeah.
Should everyone be protected and cared for when they're sick or something like that? I think absolutely. Should that be the government's job, or will they do that well?
Should the left bring in fascism? No, but they are. So is what it is. Which I don't think that's the irony of that is so ridiculous when you think about it.
Yeah.
The Antifa for anti-fascist, and it's all like Trump's a fascist, everything like that. But what is being rolled in front of our eyes right now is fascism. All you got? Can you just Wikipedia up the definition of fascism? Wikipedia, that's a good source. Let's see what comes up first on Google. Another great source. God, we should DuckDuckGo fascism because they're probably changing the definition as I speak to be like anything Trump does
is now.
All right, fascism is a form of far-right authoritarian ultranationalism characterized by dictatorial power, forceful suppression of opposition. Yep, they already changed it. So basically what fascism is when you basically bring business and corporations and government together in authoritarianism. And
is that not what we're seeing with Facebook,
that's
Twitter, Google,
big tech.
and
big tech is doing exactly that.
That's exactly that.
That's exactly what's happening, and it's happening in front of our eyes. This is crazy. I was just looking at this. I literally was just looking at this definition like 2 months ago, being like, yeah, that like corporate, national, and that's what Hitler did, stuff like it. They changed it.
The fact that they
changed it.
That they started with far right. I mean, like.
Well, of course, yeah. Well, duh.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. But what's to me where I thought the left was what I thought they were going to do is communism, but they're doing fascism right now, which has been very, very fascists believe that liberal democracy is obsolete in regard to complete mobilization society or totalitarian one person nature. I can't even trust this goddamn site anymore. I really can't, dude.
Well, they certainly found the power button. This last year was like, I think governments around the world are built on power, right? And this year we had, COVID come out.
Can you see what you can find on like DuckDuckGo or something on just like saying what I'm saying? This is blowing my mind. Sorry.
Yeah.
I like it was literally just the top thing like 2 months ago.
Yeah.
And now that they're doing it,
everything's shifting.
I just am having such a hard time keeping everything straight anymore.
Yeah. That's it. Everything's kind of getting moved around underneath us.
Yeah, I'm not going to keep on reading. If you see something, then let me know. Or you just be like, no, bud, you're wrong according to the internet. And that's fine. If that's the case, that's the case. Never mind.
Yeah. What's scary is the power button, right? And it was like, I think government's been looking for it probably on both sides, right? I think
they got it pretty good.
Yep.
With that.
Yeah.
With that COVID power button.
Dude, they realize that people will, if they're afraid, especially about their health, we can do whatever we want.
Mm-hmm.
And that, like, I don't care what side is in power, you know? I don't want anyone in the government telling us that, like, you can't work. Like, no, you have a restaurant, that's how you make your living? No, you can't do that right now. Like, you have a shop and you sell widgets? Nope, you can't work. Like, to me, nobody should have that sort of power over somebody else. Like, it doesn't make any sense for society. And they found it. And, you know, you can go down the rabbit trail, you know, to China and say, well, obviously China hates Trump, right?
Yeah.
And so would something like this come to throw the world into a frenzy? Like, it all makes sense. I don't know enough about that trail to go down it. But regardless, the problem is that people are giving them that power. And now they know that, hey, if we want another taste of this power, we just need another pandemic.
Yeah.
And that will screw up our society more than anything, is if every other year the government wants some more power. So we have another pandemic and we have another health scare. And now everyone's living in fear all the time so that the government can, you know, not so that, but because the government is on this power trip.
Yeah. And that's why I think it's so important for businesses in these lockdown states, including ours, to stand up and open up like Kavista has done here.
Yeah. Love it.
I mean, because if you submit, especially if you're in the restaurant industry, or hospitality or the gym, there's a lot. And then the businesses that support those, I mean, that's the spider web that people are like, oh, it's just a restaurant, gym. It's like, do you know how many businesses support those and all the commerce that's done in between that and the tourism, that everything? Does that? No? Okay. Well, just so you know, it's more than just restaurants. But anyway, that is these restaurants that are these owners that aren't standing up. There's no money for you.
Right.
You're just going to go under. So would you rather go out fighting, or would you rather slowly bleed out? Because right now they're just slowly bleeding out.
Yeah.
They know it. I've talked to a ton of them. I've tried to convince a bunch. I won't name, like, long conversations. You know what they're worried about? This has come up consistently with a bunch of different local owners. They're worried about the woke culture and what they'll think of them for doing it.
Yeah.
And you know what I tell them? I was like, look at Kavista. They are slammed.
Yep.
They are beyond slammed. They have a giant jar that is literally, for those that are listening instead of looking, it's about a 3-foot diameter, and it's about a 3-foot high cylinder. And it is halfway full of 20s, 100s, 10s.
That's awesome.
5s.
Yeah.
And what it says on it is OSHA find money. And so that's a community supporting Kavista, not to mention that they have so much business to help pay for those fines as well.
Yeah, it's slammed. I was in there last week, and I mean, every seat was taken, and the line was literally going out the door. I was like, holy crap, this is amazing. If you just have some balls, just
have some balls,
open your business, right?
Yeah.
I talked to the owner. I met her at church, actually, Ben Christian Fellowship. I started going there because they're open.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy crap, these people, like, they all show up. It's kind of a bunch of old cowboys. And, like, we just kind of hang out for a couple hours. Like, no one's freaking out. If someone needs to wear a mask, there's like 2 people out of hundreds wearing masks. Like, it's kind of how it should be. You got an issue? Cool, no problem. But most people don't have an issue. So I met her there, and, you know, she had a really cool kind of perspective on it, because she's like, hey, we're just going to kind of keep going and doing our thing. Like it was this very like peaceful
Mm-hmm.
sort of thing where I get more riled up, but it's like, just open your business. What's the worst thing they're going to do? Close your business and you just start another one.
Yeah, well, they and so what they've done is they sent they got a ticket and that they would need to show up in court. I think it was OSHA that gave it, and so a police officer came. And I was there, and I'm good friends with Kevin, the other side, the husband of who you met, and I was in there when the cop showed up with his mask and gave it to him, and I stood right next to Kevin as this whole thing went down. And the cop was you could see him smiling under his mask. You all see in his eyes he didn't want to be wearing that mask.
Mm-hmm.
But you can see him smiling, and he was just saying, he's like, here's the deal. You're supposed to show up for court here on March, I forgot what it was, early March. Courts aren't going to be open. They haven't been. So if I were you, I wouldn't worry about it. And Kevin's like, okay, I appreciate that. He's like, I wouldn't even pay for an attorney. He's like, really? He's just like,
don't worry about it.
There's no process. So why? And by the time,
it's just threats.
Yeah.
It's just threats.
It's just an empty threat. Yeah. And we can see what's going on. Like when Kavisa first opened too, because basically what Kevin said was like, all right, we're doing this 2-week freeze that Queen Brown's having us do. So, and we all knew that when it was over,
there's
like
just more.
That there would be more. I don't think there was a single fucking citizen that thought, oh, it'll only be 2 weeks. We all know here. So that was, let's see, that was November 20th, I believe, 19th, 20th. It was the 20th that she put that.
It was like April.
The
first
shutdown. But I'm talking about the freeze when we were like back to like wearing masks when you fucking walked into a restaurant. But where? And then when you sit down at the table. But you know, I'd love to have those days back. Yeah. It's amazing what you bitch about until they take that away. Anyway, so that would happen. Or the 20th of November happened. She said it would be a 2-week freeze. December 3rd being the opening. We all knew it wasn't going to happen. Kevin knew it wasn't going to happen, but Kevin said, all right, we're going to take the 2 weeks off, and on December 3rd, no matter what, we're opening. And I was like, no matter what you're opening? He said, no matter what. So I walk in on December 3rd, and I was amazed to see that not only were they open, I wasn't amazed to see that. I knew that he would end up doing that. But the whole wear mask shit was off the doors. And I was like, okay. Awesome. And I opened up the door, and I walk in, and none of their staff is wearing a mask. And I go, oh, you went full the other way. And the line is just out the door. The place is packed. Yeah. Everybody's smiling. Nobody's wearing a mask. And I get up to pay for my coffee, and they're like, I'm sorry, but like, not that they're sorry. Like, oh, you don't have to pay. The person behind you paid for you and the next like 3 people and a bunch of people. I was like, really? I was like, well, then I want to pay for the next 5. So people were paying for each other's coffees. Dude. And there was like his daughter was playing piano. It was just like this. It was like the end of a Christmas movie.
Yeah.
Around Christmas time, I came into the office and I was just like, guys, a Christmas miracle happened at Cavista. I've been going like every day since and just supporting them. Dude, I'm not the kind of guy that likes to drop $5 on a coffee. Because I'm not a big fan of lattes and all that stuff, but I become a fan of them because I want them to stay up. I want them to have my support. Mm-hmm. That's me voting with my wallet. Yeah. And it actually works. Yeah. So, and so that was December 3rd, and here we are. It's January 14th, and they're still rocking and rolling, record week after record week. Yeah. So if you're listening to this and if you're debating, I mean, and so, okay, so I started thinking about this because the other thing that they were saying, like, and yeah, we'll have to edit that because I said I wouldn't say who they were. Let's edit that part out.
Are they all closed? Or what's
yeah, but these business owners I was talking to, the restaurant owners about opening up, they're saying the OLCC thing is like the big trump card. Like the OLCC, if they don't go along with it, and it turns out they were right because Mazatlan, they opened and then the OLCC came hard on them and took it away, and so then they shut down.
What's that? That
was a Mexican restaurant that opened.
Yeah, no, I know Mazatlan. But what's the OLCC?
Oregon Liquor.
Oh, the liquor. Yeah.
And so they have a lot of power, more power than they should. They were incorporated back in the Prohibition era, and it should have been dismantled when Prohibition was unconstitutional. but they weren't. So they've still been around since Prohibition. Anyway,
we're just gonna have a bunch of speakeasies, right?
Well, we need to.
Well, and I'm not talking just alcohol, right?
Yeah, like churches.
Everything. It's
Yeah.
going to be a speakeasy.
Yeah.
Right? You're going to have, you know, Mazama speakeasy. Where
This
it's like,
is a speakeasy.
where you're like, hey.
You all supposed to be working remote right now, according to the Queen.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
This is a speakeasy.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I mean, work is not a bad thing. Like people are actually happier when they work, right?
Turns out.
Yeah, it's odd, you know? But when we shut everybody down, we say you can't work and everyone's pissed off. And then you go in here to Kavista, right? And everyone's happy. It's like, you don't want to pay $5 for coffee, but you'll pay $5 to have a really happy day. And when you go and you're around these people that are full of joy.
That is what I'm paying for now that I think about it. You're right.
100%.
Yeah.
Nothing. It probably has something to do with just, you know, you do want to support and all that.
No, I do. But
you go in there and you're like.
It makes me feel great. Yeah.
Like, this is a freaking cool group of people.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go have a coffee with them. Like, changes everything.
Yeah. And like if some vegan restaurant decided to open up and they're going to do indoor dining, I would be there. You know, I'm not vegan anymore.
Yeah.
I'll just be like, it's somewhere to, I
Right.
swear to God.
Yeah.
They would be the last to do it, but.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
But so solution I was thinking about this is just don't serve alcohol then. Or do it in a way. Okay, so another way. So ways that you can't. So this was how we thought of outside of this some more. So okay, have people come in and eat. Don't serve alcohol inside unless they go outside. So if they're sitting outside, they can have it, or they could take a shot and go and do it outside and then go back in. Like, and just have like these in between shots or chugging beers in between their meal, and that could get them around this OLCC crap. Or they can just have some balls and all open up at the same time. And what are they going to do if they do that?
Yeah, that'd be the ideal.
Yeah.
But yeah, why not just keep serving? Like drink inside, drink outside. What does that have to do with like COVID anyway?
It doesn't. It's just the OLCC it's not getting around the virus. It's getting around
so
OLCC.
OLCC is saying you can only serve alcohol outside.
This
is awesome.
Yeah, well,
This is so stupid.
well, OSHA's saying, yeah.
Who makes this shit up?
You can't do.
I mean, let's be honest here. Like,
our queen.
like I know, but how do people actually think that this makes any sense? Because I get that we are on one side and we're like, what in the world? But there's like half the country who is like, yeah, that don't eat inside.
Yeah.
Put a tent outside and make everyone eat in the tent outside.
It's good.
I'm like,
it's got to be less than half now. Like,
I would hope so.
I mean, come on.
It's, yeah.
Like, why are all these people leaving California if it wasn't, right?
Yeah.
Why are you going to Florida? Why is there a lot like Garrett looking to get out and going to Texas and
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So it's because it's shit ain't free, man.
Yeah.
It sucks.
So another idea is, so speakeasy one's cool. I wouldn't mind kind of going back to speakeasy days. I think that's kind of fun.
You know what's fascinating about speakeasies is that it used to be where only guys could go out and get drunk at bars. So women weren't allowed to go, and that's why women started Prohibition, because they were getting pissed off that their husbands were all getting out and being drunk. And I mean, I think maybe that they weren't able to, which I get. Yeah. But then speakeasies got rid of that social contract, and now all of a sudden women were getting drunk with men, and they were flirting with men in public, which is also something that wasn't able to be done. That was a big no-no until speakeasies. Yeah. And so then like alcoholism went through the roof. People were getting drunk like crazy. And then when FDR got rid of Prohibition in 1933, that culture shifted with it. They didn't go back to, now taverns are open, only men go. No, that was the new normal.
Wow.
Another new normal that came with it was that,
Is that when the baby boomers came? Everyone's pregnant.
Yeah.
How did everyone get pregnant all of a sudden?
Well,
they're all trashed at bars.
Yeah.
Don't know how to control themselves.
So another interesting thing from Prohibition was that a big cultural shift was the rise of mixed drinks. Mixed drinks is not a thing in Russia. It started because of Prohibition, because people were making booze in their bathtub, and you had to mix it with Coke or something in order to get it
shove
down.
it out.
Because it was disgusting.
Yeah.
And it killed some people, a lot of people actually. So
Moonshine.
you had to mix it with anything to get it down. So yeah, interesting stuff. But anyway, speakeasy, you're saying that we should go back to it. Like, yeah, who knows what new social norms will come out of it?
Well, yeah, I mean, we're kind of doing it, like you said. Like you opened up, and everyone's here and happy. It's like awesome. I love coming over here. It's like cool. I mean, how many people came in like just wanting to hang out? Like that's business can do that. And so the speakeasy approach is one thing. The other thing that is interesting, and I don't know how it would play out legally. It'd be nice to talk to an attorney, but not the laws or the Constitution really matters anymore. Anyway, but if it did, if as good conservative people were trying to abide by that, what if there was a shared ownership model
of what? Of a
restaurant? Of a restaurant, right? Where now we go membership style, right? So I come from software world, so it's like, we're selling subscriptions. So if you take that another step and you say, you get a subscription and a stock certificate, right? And so if you want to go eat at this restaurant, then you have to sign up, and it's $5 a month. And as part of that, you get, a sliver, of a stock option, or maybe it's a full on, thing.
That makes you an employee. If you structure it in a way that makes them employees, and you can get around having people inside too.
Yeah. So there's one option is like, hey, if everyone somewhat owns this business and they're just coming in to the place that they own
for their board meetings.
Yeah. They're just coming in there. So that's one option. The other is this is now a church.
Yeah.
Everything is a church.
I think everything should be a church.
This is
right? I saw that, and that's why Kate Brown opened up the schools. That was it's not. That's
so make
why.
Everything a school.
No,
it's
church.
Educational.
So what ended up happening was on December 23rd, the court saw a case where Oregon determined it unconstitutional for churches to restrict the amount of people that they bring in. And so on the 24th, Christmas Eve, Kate Brown said, schools can reopen as early as January 1st. So why did she do that? She did that because that opened up the floodgates for that same restriction to then go to private religious schools, which would cause the mass exodus she was worried about from public to private.
Yeah.
And there would be this huge exodus, and they would lose out on all that money. So it was never about the welfare of the children and the humans. It was about the fucking money.
Yep. Well, the money and the power and the control, right? Government is built on that.
Sure. I mean, one thing leads to another, but that's
if
what it is.
If you can't indoctrinate the kids, then you lose the next generation, right? And we've given that up the last, 50 years has been this public schooling indoctrination completely whack. And that's why we've, have a couple of generations of really confused people.
Yeah.
Like that's the sad reality is like they're living in that reality that is completely, sideways. But that's what they grow up getting taught in schools,
That's what I was taught.
Yep.
There's a lot to be unfortunately said on just the indoctrination of like the ideals of communism into our universities and into our schools, and how long that's been going on for. Like McCarthyism, the Red Scare and everything. I know that's like demonized a lot, and he definitely went too far, but he wasn't wrong. That was happening. Give me some of that.
I didn't know if you're. I didn't want to mix your stuff here because you got.
Definitely don't want to mix tequila and scotch, but scotch. But as far as communists infiltrating our educational system, absolutely. I think it's 1 out of 5 sociologists that are professors in our universities identify as Marxists. Holy shit. That's huge. And that's just the ones identified. That doesn't include the closet Marxists.
Yeah.
So that's been something that's been planned. That's been going on for a while. And that's why when you have all the millennials, the generation, what's below us, Z, X thing. Is it X? It's Z. It's Z.
I can't.
And they all, it's Z. But anyway, the common thread is just like communism, socialism after us. So it's Gen X before us. Or Y. Anyway. There you go.
Y would be right.
Yeah, X is fully on board with suckling the social justice warrior teat, man. And that's all been designed. That just didn't happen on accident.
No.
That's hate your country. That's where, this already happened in France over the past like 15 years, where if you fly a French flag, it's a sign of fascism. What do you think is
the French?
That's right. I'm not kidding. What's happening right now to the American flag? What's happening to the American flag?
Oh, same thing, yeah.
Yeah. It went fast forward over the past year. It's been slowly happening over the past 5. Fast forward over the past year. But it's fucked. They're trying to demonize it, just like they demonize not that the Confederate flag shouldn't be demonized, but that's definitely a demonized flag. And it should be, right? It stands for slavery. Cool. They're trying to make the American flag look like it stands for slavery.
Wow. That's crazy.
Well, that's why there's one in front of our office. I'm trying to undemonize it.
Dude, I flew it. I have a 25
Until my
foot
dog
flag.
pees on it, unfortunately, which happens too often. A 25-foot flag?
Yeah, I hung it up. Yeah, our neighborhood has these different zones that were declared parks because they have huge trees in them.
Okay.
Right? And they don't want anyone coming in cutting down the big trees in the neighborhood. So they're parks, even though they're kind of in someone's front yard. It's a park. I can do what I want in the park. So I took my son out there on 4th of July and I hung a 25-foot flag. I'll send you a picture of it in this park. Because at that time, this is 4th of July, right? This is right after.
You're talking about 2020?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is
yeah.
right out. BLM was going nuts.
Oh yeah, we weren't supposed to celebrate the 4th of July because we were going to spread COVID. Now you go out and riot and protest, but you do not celebrate the 4th of July or Thanksgiving or Christmas.
Yeah. Crazy.
Or any just don't get together unless you're rioting about BLM.
Yeah.
Have we thought about that? Has anybody opened their eyes to that? They may be like, hey, this is kind of a double standard.
So I don't get. There's so many.
Hey, close your businesses, but it's okay if you protest. Chris
Yeah.
Cuomo says, hey, who says protests need to be peaceful?
Right.
He said that.
Oh, there's a whole lineup of. Almost every Democrat fully endorsed these riots where there's tons of violence happening and
Yeah.
people dying.
They call for more.
They call for more of it.
Yeah.
And I just don't understand how people can support them, see them say this on one day and this on another. It is
Because you're racist if you don't, and that's the trump card there.
so the
Pun
woke.
intended.
So what you're saying is the woke thing, like you were talking about with the businesses here. We're afraid of the woke culture, the cancel culture.
Yeah. The businesses here are afraid that the backlash from the woke community will take them out.
So let me tell you what happened with us.
Which Bend is getting woke as fuck, so I get it. But they're wrong because look at Kavista. Anyway.
Yeah, they're totally wrong. So we had the same thing happen where, right after George Floyd thing happened and BLM blew up and all this stuff. I made a statement that was just based on my faith. I said, hey, I believe that every single person is made in the image of God. That's what I believe. And racism violates that. So I hate racism, period. And I didn't even know at that time that there was this clash between all lives matter and Black Lives Matter, right? I don't watch the news. That was actually still kind of a new phrase at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Looking back, I can kind of understand, but what they did is they threw me as a white conservative Christian male, successful, you're definitely racist. So they threw me in this camp, right? And they went hardcore around our industry.
Hardcore around what?
Around our industry.
Okay.
The photo industry. Cancel David J. Here's the list of his businesses. Unsubscribe.
Really?
Oh, hardcore. hard. I mean, it was nuts. Everybody was, or they were going to everybody saying, cancel. And we had a couple of people who I hadn't hired. I didn't know. I didn't even work with them, but were pretty far left leaning people. So we had this internal conflict happen as well. So anyway, chaos. We're kind of like wondering, whoa.
When was this?
How's it? This is in June or July, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is like the weekend after, right?
Yeah.
We're sending astronauts to space that weekend, and BLM is going nuts.
Yeah.
And all these people are trying to trash our business, right? And then they send me this note, and somebody, I don't remember who it was, sent me this note, and it's like, in order for us to stop destroying your business, you need to donate to this, and this.
No fucking way.
Yeah.
What were the companies?
I could pull it up, but I was like, no.
What was the gist of them?
It was, I mean, there was all like BLM support, right?
That's what I was wondering. Okay.
Which we know where that goes, but at the time
Look
you
at the
didn't know.
Chaz or Chop, whatever the fuck they want to be called.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I was like, no way. and so then we realized that like we have this internal issue. So fire all those people, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we don't know how this is going to play out. Looking back, we can see how it plays out. So looking back, the months after that, the 3 months, we can now go 6 months. So half of the year, we can look at the first half of the year, or we can look at the second half of the year. 20% increased top line, 80% increased bottom line.
Wow.
Like this is after apparently all these people tried to kill us, tried to cancel us, went around the industry talking trash, saying.
So what do you think happened? By the way, I'm trying to do the Scotch thing.
Dude, it's get the sweet one again.
I need to do the sweet one. Yeah,
Dude,
that one. I'm able to. Do you want this?
Yeah,
There
sure.
you go. COVID proof. We both were tested. Fucking stupid. Anyway, so what happened? So what do you? How did? Okay, you're supposed to be canceled. Everything's supposed to go to hell in a handbasket, but the opposite happened.
And we're not the only ones. When you look at like Goya or whatever,
Yeah.
It's happened a lot.
Wait, you look at who? Who'd you say?
Who is Goya? Yeah. So these are
with Conservative Bean Company. I'm not familiar.
So I mean, you could pull it up, dude. They
Goya Conservative Beans.
No, it's
Jesus
just like
beans.
No, it's just like Mexican food or something. I don't know. But they tried to cancel him hardcore because like the guy supported Trump, and so they're like, kill this business, and the business blew up.
It's kind of like Chick-fil-A during the anti-gay thing.
Yeah. Yep.
Like they tried hard, and now there's a Chick-fil-A everywhere.
Everywhere.
That was like 5 years ago.
Yep.
There's one in Bend now,
Yeah.
in our woke little community.
Well,
and people support the fuck out of it, man. I haven't even been there yet. There's always a line out the freaking like. Remember when it first opened?
Oh,
they needed
dude.
like a helicopter fucking pushing traffic around. It was insane.
Yeah. So
By the way, I'm not saying that the guy was right or wrong. I'm just saying that like when he made that movement and they tried to make the woke community tried to make Chick-fil-A go broke, it did the opposite effect.
It did the opposite. Yeah. And I think it's because the level-headed people on both sides, they want people to express what they believe in and have the freedom to do that, right? And there are a lot of level-headed liberals, and I'm friends with. Like, there's no problem with that. The problem is when their tactics are like the cancel culture tactic is terrible for everybody, right? The threat, like we're going to threaten you. And if you don't do this, then we're going to destroy your business. Like that's not a good way to go through life.
No,
right?
but then you get the opposite result. So you have the Goya boycott, and so our sales went up significantly since the pandemic, and we did well because the restaurant business declined 70%, but we also did well because of the backlash of a boycott to a boycott. We have our traditional customers, we kept them, but we also have new customers. And that makes sense because the other thing that happens when a business gets in the crosshairs of the left or the right is that the other side sees them more.
Mm-hmm.
You're actually doing free marketing.
So
for
much
them.
exposure.
Yeah.
We got so much free exposure because, as SaaS, like you ended up doing a lot of.
There's no such thing as bad press, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And most of the marketing that was done over the last couple of years in tech companies has been on Facebook and Google, right? Well, in the last couple of years, or in the last year, dude, the conversation on Facebook and Google is dark.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not like getting this happy customer coming in, right? And so, cost of ads and all that stuff. But then you get all this free exposure from people that hate you. They're like driving hate, right? And that's what I didn't like about the left's main tactic in this last election, was all driven on hate. It wasn't, look how great Biden is and his policies. Is like, hate Trump and hate conservatives. Hate. Fear. And I'm not going to live that way.
Mm-hmm.
But they went that way, and it exposed us to so many people, and they all flooded over to us because we were the only people that stood up. We're the only people that said, no,
Yeah.
we're not going to bow down to and pander to BLM. Like, not going to happen.
That didn't happen here either.
Yeah.
My team internally tried to get me to, well, not the entire team, but a few members at the time, and I was just like, I recognize a Marxist movement when I see one.
They said it.
Yeah.
On their websites, they're saying it.
I know.
At the time.
They're
now they're cleaning it up. But
well, yeah, but yeah,
we know.
They're the same founders, and they still are trained Marxists.
Yeah. So
that's
where I just think
sorry.
Standing up for what you believe in and pursuing.
I believe in capitalism. Yeah, I love racial equality just under capitalism.
Yeah. Capitalism has its issues, for sure.
What system doesn't?
Exactly.
But, okay, if we go down the road of like the capitalism issues, there's way more communist issues.
Yep.
Like if we were like in the 20th century alone showed us at minimum 250 million people died from Mao's China and Stalin and Lenin's Russia in the 20th century alone. That was from communism. That was from famine and genocide camps.
Yep.
And people don't fucking know that in our country. Like when I ask who's the biggest villain of all time, the room says Hitler because that's what we were trained. Don't get me wrong, Hitler's bad, real bad. But in that same century, actually during the same time, Stalin and Hitler met. They knew each other. Like they lived in the same freaking time. They went to war with each other. The same time they're alive, while Hitler killed 8 million Jews, gypsies, and people of color, Stalin, somewhere between low estimates is 60 million, 50 million, high estimates is 160, just him, same time, and he didn't give a fuck what color or ethnicity you were. If you just thought bad, like it was 1984 came to life, you just thought negatively about the Soviet Union, or they said you thought negatively. It didn't matter if you actually did or not.
Right.
But they said you thought negatively. Then you're sent away to the Gulag Archipelago, an island of concentration camps that went across the entire continent. And you died. You starved and died. And if that was taught in the level of detail that the Holocaust was taught to us, then a rational mind would say, yes, Hitler, fascism, bad. Stalin, communism, way worse. If you were going to rank evil by the amount of bodies that you stack, which I think is a pretty good barometer for evilness.
Yeah. And
in the 20th century, Mao, his on the low estimates is 100. We don't really know, but 80 to 250 million.
Wow.
Communism. Just they have borders that touch each other. And you look at but and all these Marxists and everything like that, and my buddies who are leaning left, and I love them and everything, but they basically what they tell me is that they've been doctrined through our culture because they have successfully. The reason why we weren't taught about fucking what I was just saying is because the communists successfully infiltrated our schools and made it so we weren't, and we just focus on the Hitler being atrocity of the 20th century and not Stalin and Mao. So what they all say is just like, if they are aware, first, they're either not aware. If they are aware, they're going, yeah, but they did it wrong.
Mm-hmm.
They did Marxism wrong. It'd be better if you do it right. I'm like, oh, I get it. Okay.
Yeah.
So the 200 and however many million, maybe even 300 million people, that's not enough to say that there isn't a right way to do it. Looking at North Korea, Cuba, Venezuela,
Yeah.
that's not enough to be like, hey, man, I don't think this, I think we tried this experiment with most of the world and it didn't fucking work. So anyway, going to capitalism, yeah, a lot of screwed up things have happened there. But they don't, I feel like they're not even on the same graph.
Yeah, I mean, definitely not. And I just think we've got to decide what we're pursuing, right? As people, I think as individuals, like,
What are we supposed to be pursuing?
well, that's why I think there's so much frustration.
So people don't know.
Yeah. People have been looking for somebody else to define what their life is about and the path that they're on. And they've relied on, whether it's the government and be like, just tell me where to go, tell me what to do, or their schools, or their job, their boss, right? And when that ends, and, for example, like an employee, when it's like, hey, I've helped you, I've given you a job, I've trained you, I've done all this stuff, but like, I don't have another place for you to go.
Mm-hmm.
There ends up being this like frustration oftentimes of like, well, what am I supposed to do? And if we sit in that too long, and I think that's where the last year people have just sat in this space of waiting for somebody else to do something so their life can continue. And that's where we're blowing up. People are getting so mad and frustrated because they're waiting. And again, it's part of our move is like, no. We're in control of our own life, and we're going to go and live how we want to live and do what we want to do. And we're not going to wait. We're not victims, but we have a victim message, a very strong victim message and victim mentality in our country, right? I mean, if you looked at the Harris Pence debate, it was clearly defined as victim-victor, right?
Oh yeah.
You had Harris like really communicate this idea about, we're victims in this current system. And that really resonated with a lot of people. Mm-hmm. And not me at all. I was like, I don't want to throw up. This is disgusting. Because I'll never see myself that way. I've been through a lot of shit. I've been through, I'm a startup guy, for heaven's sakes, Like you go through a lot of stuff with people and relationships, and it's hard and it sucks. But when a good portion of people starts to see themselves as a victim, dude, that's bad news. And I feel like that is a big divide.
That's when you just get a bunch of people to wait for some savior.
Yeah, exactly. And then it takes the personal responsibility out. It's like
that's the other problem with communism and socialism is it takes the personal responsibility out.
That's what's attractive. I think that's why we have, Biden and Harris in the place that they're at, is because they're selling this stuff that will never work,
Yeah.
But it appeals to certain people, and over time it's appealed to more and more and more people. It's like, what do we do with that?
So yeah, I mean, what's the age-old saying? If you're young and liberal, or if you're young and conservative, then you don't have a heart, and if you're old and liberal, then you don't have a brain. I mean, it ends up appealing to so many of the young people as well because they haven't like really been through life too much yet.
Yeah.
Not that I'm speaking with so much wisdom. I'm only 33, but I've at least got enough times around the sun to understand that there's no such thing as a free lunch. Mm-hmm. There really isn't. I mean, even under socialism and communism, a good example of that is the breadlines in the Soviet Union. And I actually experienced this a little bit. So this was something that really blew my mind. So I went to Russia to study some volcanoes back in college. And I was before I even got to Russia, I was on this flight from JFK to Moscow. And I haven't been in Russia yet. I'm in the JFK airport, but there's a lot of Russians, obviously, because we're going to Moscow. And so I'm standing in line to get on the plane, and I'm here, and that's a normal American separation in line, right? Right? Like to scale.
Well,
like obviously.
Are you talking about this year? Or?
This was like 10 years ago.
No, I'm saying a normal separation in line.
Oh, God. Yeah. Fuck.
Sorry. Didn't mean to do
No, that's funny. I get it. So this is, for those of you that weren't born before 2020, this is a normal separation to scale of, I don't know, like that. Like we did that to scale the human body. That's not 6 feet anyway. Fuck. So this is it. This is me. I'm playing with fucking scotch right now. And I'm behind a Russian, and I'm just kind of like, all right, I'm getting on the plane. And all of a sudden, that happened, and I was flabbergasted. I was like, what the fuck? And I was like, okay. And so I did that, you know, and then, and I was like, okay. So I did that, and it didn't happen again. So then we get to do the passport thing, going through customs, and it was a mad free for all. And I knew right away, like, all right, this is where it's going. And then I was like, okay, now I'm in Moscow. And I was like, I want some ice cream. So I was here, and I was like right here. And then all of a sudden, this kid just actually, and I knew too. So I made my gap a bit a lot smaller. So normally it was that. I learned it needed to be like that. And this freaking like 7-year-old just totally just and I was just like, what in the world's going on? So I'm talking to my professor who was a part of the Soviet Red Army, and he's like 50 or something like that, Pavel, and he just knows everything. He's this amazing backwoods man who could kill a bear with his bare hands, which actually almost happened. That's a whole nother story. But anyway, I was just like, I finally was like, dude, what is with your people cutting in line all the time? And he's just like, oh, well, that's because back in the Soviet Union, because remember, it collapsed in 89, not that long ago, especially because this experience I was having was in 2010. So really not that long ago, 20 years ago. What would happen is like trucks would show up to a town with a bunch of bread, and there wasn't enough bread for everyone. So fuck lines. Yeah. It was all about whatever's left is left, and you're fighting to make sure that you're able to feed your family. Yeah. So that's where the courtesy of a line was destroyed in their culture, just like with the speakeasy, and now all of a sudden it's okay to flirt with women. Like that was destroyed. The line aspect, because communism, there wasn't enough to go around. Your
family's going to die, yeah, so I don't care about the line.
Yeah, exactly. Your family's going to die, so I don't care about the line. And that was just this huge wake-up call to me, because I was getting a little woke in college. I was in college, and I was like, yeah, this stuff doesn't make sense, and we should be more this and that, and communism, it makes a bit more sense. And I went through that. I was just like, oh, no, it doesn't. And the reason the line and the cutting is happening is because what was seared into their brain is they will starve if they
you got to get
act
yours
civilly.
Yeah.
Of course you got to get yours. I would do the same thing.
Yeah.
We would all do the same thing.
And
we would all eat each other.
The only way to get yours is for someone else to give it to you. That messes you up. If you can get yours by going and working and getting yours, dude, we'll go and do that.
Mm-hmm.
But when you can't do that, right? When the opportunity is not there, which is what has been forced.
When you make owning private property illegal, then you can't do that. Yeah.
When you make opening your business illegal, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, if people don't see the setup here, they're just not paying attention, right? And what you experience is like, that sucks, but that's the end of the game. If we continue to close down businesses and force them to rely on the government, that's what you have. Like at the end of the day, it's not going to be tomorrow or next year, but it's going to be coming.
Yeah, and then you just have a lot of people die.
Yeah. Yep.
Because they starve. If you can't produce for yourself because it becomes illegal, then how do you do it? Like when you literally can't.
There's never been a famine in a country with free press.
What would you call the Great Depression?
Was there a famine?
I guess people got really hungry. As far as a disease famine that went through, I guess not. No, I guess people just got. People made ends meet. I don't recall famine, so I guess not.
Yeah. So if you take food out of it, but you say, hey, when there's a free press and people can talk openly, a lot of problems get solved. Maybe it's not food in our current culture, but it could be.
It will be.
It could very well could be, right?
It will be, yeah.
And so it's like fighting for free speech or free press is not just like because people want to shoot their mouth off.
Mm-hmm.
Like there are right, like there are real problems that fixes, and people need to be able to do that, you know.
Yeah.
And know that like what they're hearing is actually what's being said, not twisted in some way.
Yeah, when people are forced to not, that's the other thing is you're talking about the freedom to express yourself and the censorship that we've all been going through over the past just freaking 12 days or whatever it's been. It's been nutty how fast this has been happening. But what is happening? I've been on Telegram for years. Due to a client who brought me onto it years ago. That's the way that was like their Slack. So I've been on it for a while. And over I don't know, I think I've been on it for 2.5 years. You get notified when anybody from your address book jumps on. So one person a quarter from my address book would jump on. In the past 6 days, there's been 30 people. And most of them are the most successful entrepreneur types who are jumping on.
Yeah.
So you're not silencing you think you are by having the Twitter and the Facebook bans and all that sort of stuff and the censorship. You think you're just getting rid of them. You're not silencing them. The angry mob is still at the gates. They still have their pitchforks. You know what you did? You pissed them off more.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what you did. And to think that they're not going to communicate.
Yeah, they're never going to be able to close it up.
No, they're gonna find a way. Even if you're just like, all right, conservatives don't have the internet. Turns out that carrier pigeons is a thing.
Yeah,
like it's gonna one way or another.
Yeah,
humans will find a way. So it's a spooky time, but to kind of go into more of a optimistic. Point a little bit as this is getting a little doomy. What are some opportunities you're seeing? Whether it's investing, business wise, either personal investing, business, whatever. What are some opportunities you're seeing due to all this craziness?
Well, there's gonna be a lot of businesses that have been squashed and are in a tough place, and so there's opportunity there. You know, we're looking at selling the company, and if you look around, and it's a tech company, right? Yeah. So we were fortunate and we did better this last year. A lot of people weren't fortunate. So getting involved in those is probably a good time.
What is those? Is those the tech businesses or the business that got squashed?
The squashed.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
so opening a restaurant would be a good idea.
I don't know if opening one's ever a good idea, but if there's one that's already kind of has the foundation that just got hosed this year from, the communism that happened.
Yeah.
Like this would be a good time to get involved. You have great restaurants here in Bend that unfortunately have suffered. Like some of phenomenal, you look at Ariana, Bastoris, like these are world-class restaurants that are right here in Bend that have gotten hosed because they've had to deal with this crazy stuff. And there are others, Kavista is like, I think they're going to have a really cool opportunity to expand and grow and do that. And so, being a part of that and helping facilitate that, helping do what I do in the startup and tech space and attaching that to what they've built in the physical coffee space would be really fun. But then I mean, look at, security. That's a huge one, right? People are freaked out.
Yeah.
And so I just popped up a website that is going to grow into kind of a more of a information, but it's defendbend.com. And it's like, hey, we need to defend our freedom here. We need to defend our freedom to work, right? And, you mentioned the Queen, and that's the biggest threat to that at the moment. But then there are other threats, and it's like defend our family, defend our faith. Like there are things that need to be defended. And I mean, it's crazy, right? How many guns were bought this year?
It's
right?
Record. Yeah. It's insane.
By people on both sides. Like they're, the liberals are buying guns, the conservatives are buying guns. Like everyone's kind of freaked out. And so the personal private security space is going to be a growing one. And I mean, what the liberals try to do this year with like cancel police, dude, who thought that's a good idea? Like they should be the first one to be taken behind the barn. Like it's the dumbest idea ever. And so
it's really dumb.
If the government is going to cancel police, what's going to happen? The wealthy people are going to hire private security. Absolutely. I guarantee you. And that's third world, right? And so right now we don't have that.
It's very much third world. Yeah.
Yeah. And we don't have that. So it's like, dude, I'll hire a bunch of cops and create my own private security company, and we'll go out and like, there's a big business there that you can do. And so I've been learning that stuff and doing that stuff. I like hardwired a like pro level security camera system in my house.
It's so screwed up that's actually a good idea.
It is, but like you said, if we don't want to look at it pessimistically and just like opportunistically.
No, yeah, it's a good opportunity. It's just like I've been in El Salvador for business, and my clients picked me up in an armored car and had like 3 security armed guards on me at all times. It was super fun, but it was weird. And to think that could be happening here.
Oh yeah, it is for sure. I mean, how many? Well, okay, so Zuck just the other day told all of his employees, when you go out in public, don't wear Facebook gear. Why do you think he did that? Because he's doing this radical stuff and censoring people and closing down all this stuff. And so he knows that is not he knows that's going to create some
hate.
Opposition and hate. Yeah. And when the conversations end, the bullets start flying. Like that's just the reality. You tell people that you can't talk about stuff anymore and you just need to do what we tell you to do, Americans are going to pull out their gun. And so that's a
it's the largest standing army in the world.
Yeah, but like all of us.
American hunters,
yeah.
12.7 million to China's 2.1.
Yeah, the amount of gun owners in America, like you think you're just going to go, Biden says the dumbest stuff. Like, dude, you're not going to go and just take away everyone's guns. It's not going to happen. Like you can do weird little things. Yeah. But it's not going to happen quickly.
No.
Without a lot of bloodshed.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So a good opportunity, security company. I think actually like a good opportunity for those that are willing is like open a restaurant. Do the Kavista thing. I've watched it worked for them. Just have the balls and be the only one in town. You'll be so far ahead of everybody else. You're gonna be so casual, and you can charge whatever the fuck you want.
Do whatever you want.
You can charge whatever you want.
Yep.
You're gonna be tipped out the ass.
Yeah.
So
if you look at
it's not this isn't a theory. Look at Kavista. Like it's just a fucking fact.
Yeah. It's when you're the only game in town, like you're the only coffee shop in town that's open.
Yeah.
Like you're gonna crush it.
Yeah.
And it's like
it's weird. It's what a concept.
Yeah. You're a marketing guy, so you look at branding and positioning is all about sticking your flag in the ground. And that's what Kavista did, is they stuck a flag in the ground. They said, here we are. We're open. Like, we're just going to run our business. And they are winning. And so it's like, if anything,
They're killing it.
it's the easiest time to win in business.
It really
because
is.
all you have to do is open.
I know. That's all you got to do.
That's all you got to do.
That's all you got to do. And it's like you can get an SB. They're handing out these SBA loans with like 3% interest like crazy right now. So you could just have like the government pay for it. You have the government pay for your experiment.
Yeah.
They shut it down. They're like, well, they paid for the experiment. Like,
oh, that's genius.
yeah.
Let them finance it.
Yeah,
So
let the government. Let the government finance your goddamn shit.
You just go bankrupt.
And then file for the PPP too while it's happening. Great.
I love it.
Yeah.
So
let's start a restaurant.
Oh, dude.
Let's just open up a fucking burrito place.
This is amazing.
Kill it. We could kill it.
I love that idea because it spins it back on them.
Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of, Baltazar just went down. There's a lot of restaurant, like you get space for fucking pennies on a dollar for this experiment, and we have the leverage too, so we can go in and be like, all right, here's the deal, landowner. We'll do a 1-year lease. And like, it's normally 5. I was like, do you want our money? Is anybody else showing up?
Yeah.
The answer is no.
Yeah.
So we'll do maybe month to month. Okay, we'll give you the 1 year. So you do a 1-year lease by folding to it at typical good restaurant value in town is $3 a square foot. So
Dude,
Clown World, half that at least, maybe $125. So our overhead is knocked down significantly. And we have Pilot View Drive-Ins, Brick House, Baltazar, just off the top of my head, that have all gone under, that are all still vacant. Rest in peace, but there's your opportunity as far as space goes, all prime real estate.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what the fuck we decide to sell.
Mm-hmm.
It
There's
doesn't.
so many buyers.
It doesn't, dude.
Yeah.
It's just what we're selling is what you said earlier about Cavista, the experience, the smiles.
Yeah.
We're experiencing a place to come in with your family and eat.
Yeah.
And
without
we just
getting harassed.
Yeah.
Without getting.
And if the OLCC is going to win, then let's not even worry about the liquor license.
Yeah.
If that's a loophole where they took down Mazalon, then for now let's just not even worry about it.
Mm-hmm.
Just kill it without the liquor license. Tell people they can bring their own booze. Isn't that a thing? Can you do that? I think you could do that because you do the pint terror and stuff like that. But then I think OLCC gets in, or whatever. People won't even care. They're coming to Cavista. They're not getting hammered. And if they want to, they could bring a flask and pour it into coffee.
Yeah,
but
exactly. If you're not in charge of enforcing it, like there's a place in Vegas that you sign up for. It's a subscription membership sort of site. And in the back, they have lockers. And it's because there's all these high rollers that stash their liquor in the lockers.
Mm-hmm.
And
where?
It's in MGM. I forget what it's called, but it's like, it's kind of a speakeasy sort of place. But it's a restaurant. But that's what I wonder is like, how are they gonna? They can't enforce it if there's enough. We all know that it's not beneficial. You know, if there's only one coffee shop in town open, then of course they can harass them. But if there's 50. Good luck.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't make any sense to harass 50 of them.
I'm just surprised that more haven't opened up after watching Cavista. You know what they are like? No, fuck it. Back Porch. The rumor going around from their community is that they're calling. I might be wrong on this, so comment below. But I've just heard that you guys said that Cavista's killing Bend, like literally. COVID.
No, dude, nobody. I don't think there's actually one reported case.
No, like there hasn't been. I've been asking. There hasn't, because Lord knows.
And a case of COVID is like not a big deal.
No,
the majority of everyone recovers like fine. So
anyway. But yeah. Anyway, so that there it is. There's the opportunity. So
what
DJ and I just mapped it out pretty well in case we don't do it, somebody else could.
Yeah,
maybe we should just fucking do it.
I think
it wouldn't cost that much.
I think
I just kind of talked this out.
Cavista should scale.
I always told myself I'd never own a restaurant, but then the opportunity came.
Yep. Yeah, Cavista should scale out. They should own Ben. They should have.
They should
10 more.
They should own Ben while killing it.
Yep.
It was a pun. Punny. Not literally.
So what would be the next restaurant what would you just say? Hey, this is a restaurant that Ben needs that should just open.
Any of them, but like, if you were to believe a bit in let's just say that you were worried about the woke blowback that these certain restaurant owners were concerned about, and that's why they're not opening up their doors. And they are serving mostly the West Side, but Kavista destroys that argument because they're located in the heart of the West Side.
I would use that as my number one marketing strategy is how do I get all these, wokers to just get really pissed off and start screaming.
Dude, you don't even need a marketing strategy. You just need to open.
I know. But all them going out and yelling is just going to be the marketing.
Well, that's exactly what it's been, because they go out on social media and they start posting about it with their masks and doing their selfie mask videos talking about how this is killing Ben. And then all these people seeing it being like, oh, I could get coffee there?
Yeah. Exactly.
Inside? That's great.
So you can open a restaurant with no marketing.
Oh, yeah. Zero.
No, I shouldn't say no marketing. Woke marketing.
With woke marketing. Oh, yeah. Okay. So you get the woke marketing going.
Dude, wokemarketing.com. See if that's available.
So
we need to buy that. Yeah. We need to buy that right now.
So get a firm going too. Wokemarketing.com. We take wokeness and make it work for you.
Dude, that's a great headline. Buy it.
So I would say the vacant place, of course, is nice.
It's available?
Wokemarketing.com.
We make
woke work for you. So
woke capitalism.
Yeah, woke capitalism, Jesus. So Pilot View Drive-In, to answer your question, I think would be where you get the biggest flood the fastest. However, it might not be the smartest just due to they have the indoor. God, the drive-in, I think you just need to go.
Dude, okay, so here's the conversion.
The drive-in, though, is nice just in case the government did come hard on you, and then you have that backup.
Yeah, it's nice regardless. I think just drive through, quick, get your food, go home.
Well, that's why Life and Time's doing well. That's why McDonald's isn't a bitch about it.
Yeah.
Except McDonald's, I just noticed I went through there for the first time the other day because I'm an idiot. But this giant sign being, wear a mask while you're coming through the drive-thru.
Do the drive-thru.
I'm not wearing a mask going through the drive-thru.
Mask. Wear a mask and a shield. In your car. In your car.
In your car.
When you see people driving around by themselves in their car with a mask.
It's
I'm
great.
like, I feel so bad for you.
Yeah. Well, dude, they could kill themselves.
Yeah.
That's actually happening. Okay. So anyway, so where they're located is Midtown, and you have an easy access from both the woke side and the conservative side. And you're going to get flooded by the conservative side. But I mean, I'm
new to Ben. Where's the conservative side in the
I mean, it's more east if it's anywhere, it's south and east.
Yeah.
I mean, not that it's not woke that way, but where once you get on the west side of the river, that's where.
Gotcha. Yeah, the more city.
Yeah, like we're on the Californian side.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah. But even though we're on the California side again, like Kavista is more west than where we are right now, and we're on the woke side. We're on the west side of the river where we sit right now, and they're further west, in the heart of woke row, so to speak.
Woke row.
And they're killing it. So even this idea of just like the location and the blowback from that one, so it doesn't matter.
That's the best marketing ever.
I guess so. Baltazar's, I think, would be great since they're across the street from Kavista.
Yeah.
You just put up a big sign saying, "Hey, people that like getting coffee, would you like to come and get any?" Doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be Mexican seafood like that was. I mean, take the sign down, put up wherever you want.
Yep.
But anyway, but if to continue on this thought experiment on creating a business, which I think this is kind of fascinating, we know that the rent there would be very inexpensive. So we went over that, how to negotiate that. Went over the marketing side. So what do you think is, I don't know too much about the restaurant side, but what do you think would be our most efficient, lowest cost cuisine to serve?
Ooh, lowest cost is tough for me. My wife's a nutritionist,
tough for me too.
And so we spend a lot on food.
Yeah,
because we take a proactive approach to health. Most people will take a reactive approach. They pay for health care
Mm-hmm.
because their health is so screwed up. It's like, dude, if you eat good, clean, healthy, organic food that isn't pumped up with all this crap.
All right, so I guess the most efficient then is it more efficient to grill a steak than making Thai food?
I think the most efficient restaurants, and I think the reason why
Wild Rose is efficient as hell. I
Yeah.
don't know how, but
Yep. I think that we started to see the conversion from grocery store to restaurant, right? You start to see Whole Foods serving food.
is that
And-
happening? I
Yeah.
don't go to Whole Foods.
Yeah. Well, look at Market of Choice.
Okay.
Like they
Sometimes
have,
go there. I know what you're talking about though. Yeah.
they started to have these little food
Bars.
courts and
Mhm.
bars and everything where you go into your grocery store where you go every week anyway. And now you don't just go there to buy food and go home and eat it. You
Mhm.
go there and you eat it. And it makes a lot of sense, right? And I could see more blending of that world where it's like, hey, the food all gets shipped to this place and you go there and you buy some and you take it home and you go there and you eat some. Like, why not?
Mhm.
Like, it's all there. So, as they've gotten bigger and bigger and bigger, you know, the supermarket sort of idea, I think, is fine. There's nothing wrong with like a bigger market, but I think that is a necessary piece of this. Where right now, my wife, she hates going to any supermarket because it's the same thing. You got to mask up and this and that and the other.
Mhm.
And so, as like a necessary part of our society, which is a market, I would do that. I would do a mixed market restaurant.
Mixed market restaurant, no masks needed.
Yeah.
Okay. Baltazar's has the size for it. I get what you're saying too. So make like I mean, yeah, I mean that would be about half the size of Newport
Mm-hmm.
if we were to use the Baltazar's square footage.
Doesn't have to be huge
No, it
because you're
doesn't.
serving a neighborhood now, like, you know, the Italian style of life where it's like you go there, you don't go there every month like Costco and stock up on a whole bunch of crap you don't need.
Mm-hmm.
You go there every 3 days. And part of the reason you go is the same reason you go to Cavista.
Mm-hmm. Just to not have to put on a mask and be afraid.
It's the market. And you
Mhm.
see Billy over there, Billy the butcher, and you're like, Billy, give me some of that same old, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And that sort of relationship is driven by the everyday sort of movement of a society, right? It's like, if you only have to go someplace once a month, like Costco, do you have a relationship with the checker at Costco?
No.
No. Do you have a relationship with the
I have a relationship with everyone at Cavista.
at
Every
Cavista?
one of I know them all by name.
Exactly.
I'm there like every fucking day, sometimes twice a day.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That is the difference. And that's why
Coming from the I'm serious too. Like, hey
Dude.
Lauren. Like, hey bud. It's great.
and that wins, you know, the relationship wins. And if you take that and you say, okay, what's the next business? Coffee. I mean, the fact that coffee is an essential business, it's kind of funny, right?
Well, it's not.
Well,
It isn't. It isn't. Like,
yeah.
you can't
yeah.
drink it inside because you'll die.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess it wasn't essential enough.
Yeah.
But supermarket is.
Yeah.
And so we know that we've got to go somewhere and get food. Whether you go, we buy a lot from farmers, you know, and get a lot of stuff that way, but we still go to the supermarket. So it's like you go to the supermarket and you get food there, not every month, but you go there every 3 days, you know. In
Mhm.
Italy, they go there every day on their way home from work. You swing by, you
Yep.
get your bread, you get your stuff.
Yep.
And there's a really good part of that in society. And we've gotten so big. And I feel like the left is they're killing small business. And they're saying Walmart's essential,
Yep.
but your little mom and pop shop isn't.
Yep.
And that, I don't think that's a good thing for our society
How could it be?
on any level.
Yeah.
And I would love for things to get fractured, including the church. I think it's bad, big box church.
Big box church.
You know?
Yeah.
It's like, I come from California, so it's like every vacant supermarket turned into a Calvary Chapel, right? It's like, this is not a good idea. How can you really care for people in that environment? Like you care for people in smaller environments. And so I think COVID is like the best thing that ever happened to church because it fractured it into these little tiny home churches again.
Yeah.
That's when it works.
So I would, for the restaurant concept in Baltazar's, since we established on that side, I would be more on the side of making as many tables as possible, just because people can't do that. So that would be my pushback in our partnership of this is you can walk into the store. You do have to put a mask on, but you can still somewhat do it. You can't, no matter what, be having, be going into a restaurant and dining inside.
Right.
So that's the novelty that I'd be wanting to be hitting. I could be serving lard. I wouldn't, but I could. And people, they'd line up just to be able to have a home cooked lard meal. And
well, and to be with other people, you know, that's the key. That's the restaurant. That's what, Starbucks took off on is community, right? They realize Americans have no place to commune. And when you can't go to any restaurant or any coffee shop and just be around other people, have a meal, have coffee, dude, the world gets dark
really fast. Yeah. It's really, really, really depression and like Zoloft prescriptions just through the roof. It's a bummer. But okay, so to wrap this up, so it'd be smart if we did some type of restaurant market mix in Baltazar's right away. That's the other move too. Is like you don't know when this whole boot on the neck is going to stop. So make your move right away, get established like crazy, then expand. Yeah,
because the startup cost, a lot of it is in exposure, right? So you can take advantage, wokemarketing.com. You can use the wokers to get you the exposure for all those businesses. And then, you need to serve your customer and do it. But now's the time. Like, this is the time to really launch some stuff.
Got me thinking. All right. Well, Dave, it's been a pleasure, man.
Hey, love being here.
Yeah, man.
Thanks.
All right. That's a wrap. That was great. I'm actually like thinking about like calling